The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
The New York Jets have made a flurry of moves, including a new 2-year deal for CJ Mosley, and I believe it's setting the stage for potentially a big-time splash. We'll talk about that and much more. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
Man, our Jets are primed for a historic season. We bleed Jets green each and every day. This is not the same old Jets. We have Garrett Wilson. Let's go. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button for love. Super Chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. The Jets bandwagon is loaded. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Jake Asman. If you're watching this, you know that. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way towards being able to make this my full-time job and continue to see incredible growth. So I want to thank everyone for their support, and thanks to everyone who tuned into yesterday's show. Our video reacting to the great trade the Jets made acquiring Morgan Moses has over 12,000 views at the time of this recording, which makes it the most viewed video of Jet free agency coverage on this channel so far. So thanks again to everyone for their support. We got a lot to talk about. I'll hit on the CJ Mosley contract and what it means. I'll hit on the latest rumors that the Jets players are recruiting a certain wide receiver, and the Jets, I'm hearing, are still in on a notable left tackle. I'll share all that and more coming up. But first, I want to say tonight I'll be on the national stage. I'll be hosting on ESPN Radio tonight when their coverage of the ACC tournament ends. So check it out on your local affiliate, or you could download the ESPN app and hit the radio button and listen live. I'll be on roughly from 11:30 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern time. So I appreciate all of you guys for your support. Looking forward to being on ESPN Radio tonight. All right, with that being said, let's first start with the CJ Mosley contract restructure. I was wondering when this was coming, and I thought with Mosley having a $20-something million cap hit this year, the Jets were either going to ask him to take a pay cut, or because they love him and he's still a very good player, they were going to go out there and try and get a new deal done. And we could argue this deal probably should have happened a year ago, but better late than never, because CJ Mosley's still a damn good player. He's led the Jets in tackles each of the last 3 years. He was second-team All-Pro in 2022. Teammates swear by him, not just Quincy Williams and guys on defense. Listen to what Aaron Rodgers has always said about CJ Mosley. Listen to what Robert Saleh has said about CJ Mosley. He's the unquestioned leader of the team. He's been with the Jets a while now. I mean, obviously he sat out the COVID year, but this guy came in and he got hurt, and then he sat out, and it looked like it was going to be a huge bust of a signing by Mike McCagnon, and it turns out he got this one right. Now, did they overpay? Sure, but CJ Mosley's a damn good player, and the Jets getting him to agree to a new 2-year deal, they save a tremendous amount of money on their cap. So it's 2 years, $17.25 million. They ripped up the old deal that had no guarantees left on it, right? He was going to get $21 million as far as his cap, but he wasn't actually making $21 million because they restructured it a couple times last year to save money. Point being, CJ Mosley is replacing the final year of his old deal, and now he gets $9 million fully guaranteed this upcoming year. And if he plays well, I'm sure he'll be on the team the following year. So I look at this move, and to me, it signifies that the Jets are doing this with purpose. They're not done in free agency. You know, there's some thought, they're just going to, use the draft to find another tackle and a receiver and off we go. No. The Jets are linked, I have been told by someone I trust, to Tyron Smith. I don't know if they're going to sign Tyron Smith, but I could promise you the Jets are at least in the conversation to sign him. I don't know. Once again, I'm not sitting here saying that they're going to get him, but I believe the New York Jets are not done looking to try and improve along the offensive line. Of course, the other name to watch is David Bakhtiari, who we all understand has a connection to the star quarterback. We all understand has the injury risk and probably will be looking at a 1-year deal. But I'm telling you, the Jets don't make this move with Mosley if they don't have other intentions to make more signings. And if they still need to create more cap space, they obviously can. They could restructure John Franklin Myers, for example. They can extend DJ Reed, which I believe still might happen because there's been some kind of cryptic tweets coming from DJ Reed the last couple of days. So I wonder if those tweets are in reference to the Jets negotiating a deal with him. Someone said, oh, does this mean they're trading him? That's not how I personally interpreted those DJ Reed tweets. But look, that's another mechanism where they could save money. What I would like to see the Jets do is extend the following two players, DJ Reed and Michael Carter. Those guys should be a part of your future, especially Carter. Learn from the Bryce Huff fiasco. Get the extension done now because you believe in the player. Michael Carter's a damn good nickel corner, one of the best in the league. Get it done now so you don't potentially lose him next year. And the other point I'll make on the CJ Mosley contract, it once again aligns perfectly with this 2-year window the Jets have with Vice President Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. That's the bottom line. You don't know about 3 years down the road. Hell, we don't even truly know beyond this year. But if you look at the contracts the Jets have given out here, 2-year deal to Tyrod Taylor, 2-year deal in the John Simpson signing, only 1 year left on Morgan Moses, excuse me. Got my wrong former Jet tackle who's now back with the Jets confused. 2-year deal with CJ Mosley, 2-year deal with Thomas Morstead. This is the window, and they're gearing up for it. Obviously, they got to win this year. It can't be an unmitigated disaster for this regime to get 2025. But if you look at what they have done so far, it reveals that they're identifying a 2-year spot to go for it now. And then the other report that's out there from Zach Rosenblatt in The Athletic is that Jets players are recruiting Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd, to me, would be a smart signing, but that can't be their only weapon they add. Meaning, I would look for the draft to possibly add someone. I would look at another trade in the wide receiver market. Once again, apparently the Jets have all these leaks, right? Oh, sources say this, that. Did anyone have Morgan Moses on their bingo card? So I say that to say there could be another trade we're not thinking of. There could be something to point out that could unfold that hasn't happened just yet. So I think that's how you got to look at it. And I want the Jets to take a receiver in the 3rd round, by the way. And also, as we talked about yesterday, the Morgan Moses signing or the Morgan Moses acquisition, the trade, what it really does is gives you flexibility now come draft time. Like when you think about it, the Jets offensive line now has so many different ways they can go about it, and they're all positive. The Simpson signing, ideally he ends up being, if he's your worst lineman out of your 5, you have a really good offensive line because he's a solid pro with upside. Morgan Moses is a damn good tackle. ABT, we know what he is. Now he's at his best position, guard. Joe Tippmann's going to take a step in year 2, folks. Trust me. And depending on how they address left tackle, it could be Tyron Smith. It could be we sign David Bakhtiari and then we still go out there and draft someone. But they have options now. And let's say they sign Tyron Smith, who once again I'm hearing the Jets are in on, but I'm not predicting that they're going to get him ultimately. But they're in on him. You could still take a tackle at 10. Morgan Moses is in the last year of his deal. Plus, it's the Jets. Injuries happen all the time. You know, people are saying, well, AVT's been hurt. You got to have coverage for him. Well, if you still take an offensive lineman at 10, they maybe play guard for a year. Also, John Simpson's not a lock to necessarily be anointed the starter. You could have legitimate competition. He probably will start the year as the guy. Like Tippmann competed with McGovern, but they went with the veteran. But the point is, injuries happen to everyone, but especially the Jets. So by adding Moses, you now have flexibility to add more to your O-line. And also, it doesn't, once again, need to be at number 10. In fact, I was thinking about this last night. I think the Jets are more likely now to trade back than they are to necessarily trade up. Unless it's Alt, who they just think is clearly the best lineman, plug and play left tackle. Or they think Fashanu is that guy, which I don't know if they will, to be honest with you. Right? Daniel Jeremiah has Fuaga as his best guy. Him and Joe Douglas are simpatico on a lot of things. So let's say Douglas is like, yeah, I like Alt, but we can't get him. He's gone already. Maybe Tennessee now, I think, is going lineman at 7 because of the fact they signed Ridley, or they trade back for a team coming up for a quarterback. But what the Jets are now in a position to do is, instead of trading up for Fashanu or Alt, because they, in theory, would be covered with Moses and, let's say, Tyron Smith, they could trade back, get a second-round pick. Trade back, take Tyler Guyton, take Troy Fontanu. You could play on that guard. Maybe they're your left tackle. If they sign Bakhtiari, he competes with Bakhtiari, who you know is going to get hurt. So you're covered depth-wise. You have more depth than you've ever had. And if you trade back and get a second-round pick, let's tap into this receiver class. Let's get Ladd McConkey if he's somehow there. Let's get Ricky Pearsall if he's somehow there. Look at these receivers. The Jets yet haven't added that big receiver, but if the Tyler Boyd stuff's true, Jets players are trying to get him. They're in on him. You know, I think it was someone from The Athletic who said the Jets are one of 3 teams that's known to be in on Tyler Boyd. If that's true, all of a sudden, what the Jets now put themselves in position to do is trade back. Douglas can trade back for the first time as a Jets GM in round 1. Get a second-round pick. Still take one of these tackles in round 1. Hell, maybe you take one of these receivers, you trade back in round 2, and there's a tackle you like. I know the Jets really like Patrick Paul from the University of Houston. I know this for a fact. They met with him at the Senior Bowl. They like him. Joe Douglas personally met with him. Maybe they trade back from 10, assuming they sign, let's say, Tyron Smith. They trade back from 10, and guess what? They take a receiver instead in the first round, in a loaded receiver class. And then round 2, they take their tackle. And then round 3, maybe they double dip on receiver. Maybe there's a interior offensive lineman they like there. And off we go. So I really like the spot they're in from an offensive line perspective. They're not done. We got to see what they do as far as adding another player before the draft, which I'm telling you they will. They will sign another tackle. But the level of that tackle, that remains to be seen. And then obviously the Jets now aren't in a spot where we feel like they could get jumped again, because it's so obvious what they're going to do. They can move up. They can stick and pick. Maybe Alt or Fashanu's someone they love. They have number 1 on their board, and there's no decision. You love the player that much. You take him. Boom. Olu Fashanu, he's your tackle. Or maybe he's competing with Bakhtiari, etc. You can never have enough depth. Not when Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old. Jets also, speaking of depth, re-signed Jake Hansen, who started 4 games last year, so maybe he's a developmental offensive line piece. I don't know if he's ever going to be great, but maybe he's a developmental piece for your offensive line. He has a starting experience, whatever. Good move to bring him back for like probably minimum money. Now, the other thing to bring up here is, what is the thought process from like this point right now? Like, do things pick up or do they slow down? Mike Williams is now available since the last time I was live. What's his market? Took a couple days for Calvin Ridley, and we really haven't seen that run on receivers yet. So I'm just wondering kind of where we go from here as far as the speed of some of these moves. Before we open it up to your comments and questions, and of course, super chats, always cut the line. You guys see the shirt I'm wearing? It's a Roan shirt. I want to give love to my clothing sponsor, Roan. I've been at a sports media conference the last couple of days. I'm on my lunch break right now, squeezing in this show for you guys. If you go to roan.com/Asman, you'll save 20%. And you can upgrade your closet. These shirts are the best. You know, if you're running around New York like I am the last couple of days, you want something that's comfortable, something that's stretchy, something that, you know, is kind of sweat resistant. If we're being totally honest here, it's like a beautiful day in New York, by the way. It's like 65 degrees and sunny. So, I mean, you want to feel nice. You want to look nice. That's Roan clothing, Roan apparel. Promo code Asman. Get yourself 20% off at checkout. They have not just button-down shirts, but they have polo shirts. They have pants. They have quarter zips. I wore the quarter zip last night when I was out getting drinks with friends. Check it out, folks. Roan's got something for everyone. They're a great, great company. Love their clothes. Roan.com/Asman, 20% off at checkout. Shout out to VR, who says, looking sharp with the Roan shirt. And VR wrote this in before I did the live read. That's when you know he knows a thing or two about style. So thank you, VR. Upgrade your closet, Roan.com, promo code Asman. Some super chats to get to. But before we do that, man, is Joe Douglas starting to win over one of his biggest critics? These are the questions that have to be asked.
Money, 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 money.
Allen has gifted 5 more memberships, and we made an agreement. Anytime the Jets make a move this offseason that Allen actually thinks is good, he's got to gift membership. So I'm guessing Allen liked the fact that they got CJ Mosley to redo his deal to create a lot more cap space. How about that? So the following members, courtesy of Alan, or following listeners, I should say, courtesy of Alan, just became Asmaniacs. Tyler Raines, Darren McCollum, Peter, 1 6-pack, Gary Scott, welcome aboard. Shout out to you, Alan. Job well done. Job well done. Super chat from Chris starts us off. Tired of the hit pieces on QB1. He deserves better. I'm glad you brought this up. I was going to talk about this probably in a separate video, but I'll address it now because right before I started, I saw Rodgers did put out this tweet. I am glad that he said something because I don't believe for a second the CNN story. I'm just going to be honest with you all. I try to keep it real. I don't believe for a second this happened, and I think it's disgusting to bring up conversations from 12, 13 years ago in private and then as a gotcha piece all of a sudden. So some might disagree with me. That's fine. I don't believe the story. Whatever. I just don't buy it. I've seen too much nonsense out there over the last couple of years, not even just in sports, but in life, for me to believe it. But I am glad Rodgers took to Twitter to issue this statement, basically saying the Sandy Hook denying story is BS, right? And if you go back, and the guy who's been on the show many times, Jamie Stewart, formerly of News 12, now covers New York sports for Newsday, he dug up a great clip of Aaron Rodgers in 2012 being asked about the horrible Sandy Hook tragedy and speaking out on it. So when Rodgers says, as I'm on the record saying in the past, he's been on the record publicly in the past talking about this. So that's people have asked me my thoughts on it. I'm glad Rodgers said something. Now, I think Rodgers gets a kick out of how ridiculous the vice president story is, which is why he personally hasn't sent out a tweet like saying it's not true, because it's so absurd if you even think about it. I don't even entertain it as a reality. I would like him to eventually just shut it down just so we could like stop everyone making jokes about it and we just move forward. But whatever. Like, obviously, when you're accused of what he was accused of in that CNN story last night, he had to say something, and I'm glad he did. So there's Aaron Rodgers' statement, and I wanted to do my part as someone who reaches a wide audience to share it because, obviously, this is a little different than, like, the joke of the vice president storyline. This is real-life, serious horror stuff. So I'm glad he said something. All right, on that note, let me get to a couple more super chats, and I'll take some calls as well. Let's go to Roddy Too Good, who says, I'd like them to sign DJ Humphries. DJ Humphries. You know, it's going to be interesting to see what other signings now occur, Roddy. I got to admit, I don't know a ton about DJ Humphries, though, to like accurately talk about how good he is. I saw he got cut. Obviously, he was a cap casualty type of thing. Maybe they'd be in on him. You know, you look at his career and, you know, he's been in the league a while, former Pro Bowler. He was a first-round pick in 2015. Maybe. You know, I'm not sure. Certainly a name to watch. I'll give you that. John writes in with a super chat. We signed Tyrod Smith, pick a 10. Don't say left tackle. It's Tyron Smith, but I see your point. So you're saying they signed Tyron Smith, they're staying at 10, and I'm not allowed to say they take a tackle. Who do I think they take? Do the big three receivers make it? One of them? Is Bowers there? Would they take him? You're telling me I have to pick someone, and I can't say an offensive lineman? I probably would go in this scenario, one of the receivers or Bowers. I think they'd look to trade down, though. If you tell me they signed Tyron Smith and he's your left tackle, Simpson's your left guard, Tippmann's your center, AVT's your right guard, and Moses is your right tackle, I think they would do everything in their power to trade down, or they'd take Troy Fontano because he's like AVT, he could play both guard and tackle. So then it's like, who's the best fit for what the Jets need? Fontano in this scenario, but you told me I can't say a tackle. So I'll say Bowers in this unique scenario because I don't think Neighbors, Harrison, or Adunze are going to be there. Rat Diddy with a super chat. Jake at the beach in your old neck of the woods, Surfside Beach, Texas. Thanks for the content in between your conference. I appreciate it, everyone. Once again, I've been attending the Barrett Sports Media Conference here. So I've been trying to squeeze in these shows at my lunch break. It hasn't been easy. But I did get a chance to make it back in time for Paul Heyman and Stephen A. Smith at the end of the day yesterday. So appreciate you guys for the support. We had 12,000 views on our Morgan Moses video yesterday, so it was well worth it. But we did 16 and a half hours of live streaming the first 2 days of free agency. So, of course, the Jets make all their big moves after I can't be live for all that time, but it is what it is. All right, let's get to some calls now. All calls presented by Gustbuster Umbrellas. Let's go to Jets Chaos. Our guy Jeremy's on the line. Hello, Jeremy.
What's going on, Jake?
What's up, man?
How you doing? I'm happy about that trade, man. I still can't get over it. That was a tremendous trade for us. Really 4 out of 5 of the offensive line is pretty much there. And I like that all 4 are really good, and known for strong run blocking. You got to be excited if you're Breece Hall, the way this is shaping up.
100%. I mean, Breece has been active on Twitter too. He's been he's liking the moves they've made.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine? He got just about 1,000 yards, 1,600 yards from scrimmage with the worst offensive line and the worst offense in the NFL, and now he's going to come back with a real offensive line and Aaron Rodgers keeping the defense honest. I mean, we might not have even seen a speck of what Breece Hall is capable of.
100%. And, for me, the next step is I feel like they're gearing up for a big splash, Jeremy. I do. And I wonder if it's a trade, if it's a signing, but I do think something's coming.
Absolutely. Just like, you get that feeling when you throw out an old contract and save $13 million in your salary cap, like they just did. It's like you're gearing up for something. They didn't do that to not make a move. It's a guess of, is it Mike Williams? Is it Smith? Is it, what position is it going to be? I do not want to go into the draft needing 2 positions. We at least got to narrow it down to 1. And right now we got 2 big holes that we still have to fill. So,
yeah, 100%. And then look, just as far as the drafts, you feel like you have way more like opportunities. Like for a while, it was just like tackle at 10 enough. But now it's like, all right, well, you could do that. You also could trade up. You could trade back. You could take a non-tackle for the first time. I'm actually entertaining the scenario where that could happen. Like it's an exciting time right now, my friend.
Yeah. And I think there'll be opportunities to trade back for sure. I honestly believe there are some teams that can make a really big argument that would want to come up and get like a JJ McCarthy if he's there at 10. And the opportunity, there's a few teams, Denver, Seattle, there's a few teams that might want to come up. And even if we went back as far as 20, you could take Brian Thomas Jr. might be there, right? I mean, you can get that weapon, and now you gain an extra second and an extra third. Who knows what kind of loot you can pull in for that trade.
1,000%. Jeremy, you're the man. Appreciate you popping in.
Take care, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jets Chaos. Give him a subscribe over on his channel. The man loves Jeff Ulbrich as much as anyone. A couple comments I wanted to address here. This one's from Shake and Bake, who says, the trade down from 10 possible, and could the Jets select Keon Coleman in the later half of the first round? Yeah, so when I talked about trading back and taking one of these first-round receivers that aren't the big 3, he's certainly in the mix. I mean, what? You had Dane Brugler tell me at the Combine 7 receivers could go in round 1? That's wild. But it could happen. It's that good of a receiver class. Mr. Bonesy checks in. I'd prefer Bakhtiari on a prove-it deal and then still get a young tackle. Tyron Smith isn't coming. JD ain't opening up the checkbook for a 33-year-old. Once again, I have heard the Jets are in on Smith. I don't know they're going to pay him the most money. I'm sure they'll have their line in the sand. JD has his price, all that, stuff the Jets beat regurgitates and puts out there. But I have been told they are in on Tyron Smith. Will they sign him? We'll see. But at least they're, as Joe Douglas would say, doing their due diligence. It's due diligence season, baby. Alan says Zach Wilson compensation equals 0 compensation. The longer this goes with Zach, I agree. He's going to get cut. I'll say this, though. I think the market for Justin Fields has to matriculate. Is that a word? Has to play itself out first for then Zach to be dealt. I think in the end they might end up cutting him because I'm telling you, Wilson Truthers, he's that bad. All right. I hate saying it. I wish they could trade him. It would help the Jets if they could trade him. I don't think they're going to be able to, though, ultimately. I've had my doubts the whole time. And people would ask me, what do you think they could get for Zach? I've laughed at you. This is why. We're seeing it. The NFL doesn't even think Justin Fields is that good. What are the Jets going to get for Zach Wilson? Let's go to Johnny. He's up next on our show this afternoon here. What's up, Johnny?
What's up, bro? Hey, man.
Nice hat.
They came in, and I got the other one that just came in, too. Actually,
what do you think? Looks good.
Dude, they're actually really awesome. I love the brim on how big it is because I have a big head. So, like a lot of the 47s, when you wear them, they're kind of small, right? Fits good, comfortable. So, pretty hype, man. I ordered more because they finally that cream and green lid. They finally had it on the actual website itself. So, I'm purchasing more, man. But I just wanted to come on here, show you that they came in. Dude, they're over there from Texas, I guess, right? If I'm not mistaken. Well,
They're also West Coast based too.
Yeah, it was supposed to be here on the 11th, but hey, it is what it is. But dude, I'm happy with the signings that we got going on. I mean, I think CJ taking that pay cut was huge. At this point, man, I really feel like they're gonna go ahead and they're gonna trade back, and I'm cool with it. You know, it is what it is. Hey, go Jets, man! We need to win now, so let's do it.
Johnny now looking like QB1 and VP1.
Yo, that's kind of you and me right there, bro. Like
that's us.
You're Rogan and I'm Aaron.
Hey, my man, that works for me. Good call by Johnny. Appreciate you using promo code. If you guys want a Huga House hat, Huga House, great brand, vintage hats. Aaron wears them all the time. Asman at checkout, you get 15% off. HugaHouse.com. Let's see. More of your calls right now, folks. You never know where this is going. So I ask everyone out there who could hear the sound of my voice to sing along and buckle up.
It's time for another V-Man call. Hopefully he's not sleeping. Adios mío.
Ladies and gentlemen, V-Man. Hello, V-Man.
What's up, Jake? How you doing?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good. What's my favorite part of free agency so far? Besides the Jets move,
what your favorite part of free agency was?
Is watching the Patriots, watching Calvin Ridley use the Patriots to mark up his market value.
Yeah, that's a huge overpay. I wanted Ridley. I wasn't going to give him that contract. He's 30 years old. That's you're paying him like he's Devontae Adams. He's a good player. He's not that.
Yeah, no, exactly. But that made me laugh. I was like, now they know what it feels like.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it's nice to see the Patriots be used. The bad team tax they now got to pay.
Exactly. No, and honestly, I love the CJ Mosley redoing his deal. Save money. It does clear up money for a move. Are they going to make a big move? So far, I don't know. It's quieted down. This is a quiet part of free agency. The first few days, things happen very fast, and now it starts to slow down. We're gearing up towards the draft. It's going to be exciting. And like I said, and you're right, the moves they made have given them much more flexibility in the draft. They can stay put. They can trade up. They can trade down. They can take a tackle. They could wait to take a tackle. They could take an offensive playmaker. They have a lot more flexibility going in, and that's very good going forward.
Completely agree. And V-Man, on that note, everyone, it's time to sing along.
That's the end of that V-Man call. Now he can go back to sleeping.
Shout out to V-Man. Cartman says, yeah, Ridley's contract's ridiculous. $100 million guaranteed. His contract is crazy. And look, from a Titans standpoint, they're not paying their quarterback any money, and they're trying to build around Levis, and now they've given him, D-Hop, they've given him Ridley. But that's a huge overpay, man. The Jets are going to either sign a Tyler Boyd type, who the Athletic's reporting they're in on, and Zach Rosenblatt of the Athletic, who specifically covers the Jets, is saying he's heard Jets players are recruiting Boyd. But they were never going to give Ridley that contract. I mean, it was just crazy. Crazy. Shake and Bake writes in, Jake, why do you think the Jets didn't offer the trade package for Deontay Johnson? It seemed like a steal for Carolina. I think there were, in league circles, a lot of people just don't like the character of Deontay Johnson. I mean, he quit on the Steelers last year, folks. There's plays of him just not blocking, not giving effort. I think that scared some teams off. I think that killed his market, to be honest. Now, at the same time, the last wide receiver the Jets acquired from the Steelers, that worked out pretty good for the first couple of years in tone times, Antonio Holmes. So I wasn't against Deontay Johnson, but I'm going to assume the Jets have other plans to upgrade at receiver. If they do nothing, I'm going to say they should have made that deal. But as I've been saying this whole time, I'm not going to scream and yell until we see what the full plan is. I'm going to be chapped at times. We don't have to love every move in real time. It's our job and my job as a talk show host to give you my honest, unfiltered opinion as things happen. But I'm also going to try and be real and realistic. You're not going to see me screaming and yelling, they haven't done anything. And then will they make, a huge addition night one, getting their starting left guard and they're the top backup quarterback in the league, and people are freaking out they haven't done anything. And then yesterday they make this great trade. They have their right tackle in place. And Now they clearly have something else lined up. That's why they redid Mosley's contract. So a little patience is needed here, obviously, which we're Jet fans, so that's very tough to ask. I fully understand that. Speaking of Jet fans, if you guys could do me a huge solid, like this video and subscribe to the channel, please help me out. By the way, at this conference, they did a whole session on YouTube, and so many people were coming up to me afterwards talking about how everything they said, it's like, you already do on your channel. And I'm like, I have the best audience, man. They make it possible. So thank you guys. Speaking of CJ Mosley, I pulled this clip. So obviously, I'm a huge fan of CJ's, always has been. But now that he's a friend of the show, I mean, he's my guy now. So I wanted to play a clip from the interview we had, from the interview I did with CJ Mosley back at the Super Bowl last month or a month and a half ago, whenever that was at Radio Row, because I think Jet fans can start to get a little more excited based on what's happened so far this offseason. So I asked CJ Mosley, I'm like, man, everyone said Aaron Rodgers came back to practice and he was running the scout team and he was dicing the starting defense up. Is that true? So here's a little bit, give and take on what Mosley saw from Rodgers.
Can you tell me about these practices when Aaron came back? He was coming off IR, or he was
lighting up.
But when you say that, like we hear that and go, it's just the Jets putting that out there. The Jet propaganda. You get us all excited again. And I want to believe me, I live and die with you guys all the time.
I really wish I could just show a few plays that I like I recorded. I said that
So this is on scout offense going against the number one defense.
Going against our defense. Obviously, the pass rush is not going full speed.
Yeah, so Quinn's not hitting him.
He has a little more time to make a throw, but just him making that throw and that arm power, the precision, it's a beautiful thing to see. He throws a great ball. You see it's like seeing a beautiful cut ball, like a curve ball. It's like dang, whew.
Well, there was
to get him back on the field.
There was a line in Hard Knocks with you over the summer where it was like, that's an Aaron Rodgers throw right there.
Yeah. I mean, it's some things, you play this game long enough, you learn the X's and O's, but then you really start to figure out, with your body, how can I, tweak a certain mechanic or tweak a certain thing to put myself in the right position. So, some of the throws he make and, the way he throw them, he knows exactly what he's doing. No matter – you think about the scout team offense, some of the guys haven't even played a game, and they're out there looking like all pros.
You're getting me excited again.
So, man, it's great, man. We're excited for it. So, football is 100% injury rate, so we can't guarantee nobody's going to get hurt. We know how those things work, but, we just got to go out there and, like I said, make our fans, make the people that's in our community believe and see the way we play, they can envision us holding up a Super Bowl trophy.
How do you not hear that and love CJ Mosley, by the way? What a good leader, man. I love that guy. Is he the same guy he was maybe a couple of years ago from a speed standpoint? Probably not. But he's arguably the smartest guy on the field. And he's such a great leader, and I love that, man. He's making a bunch of practice squad wide receivers look like all pros, apparently is what Rodgers was doing. I love it, man. Hey, keep down the Jets. Everyone doubted the Cubs. Everyone doubted the Red Sox, It's always the darkest before dawn. At least there's some optimism you can have. There's a lot of questions, no doubt. But, certainly there's more reasons I could point to be optimistic about this upcoming year than pessimistic. And, I heard CJ talk about how, injuries are 100% in the NFL. Well, if God forbid something does happen to Rodgers, they now have Tyrod Taylor, who's capable of winning them, some games in a pinch. So it's not just the O-line that needed to be fixed. They had to get the backup quarterback situation figured out, and they did. Let's go to Adam. He's up next on our show. What's up, Adam?
Hey, what's up, Jake? How you doing?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good. I apologize if I'm addressing something that maybe you had addressed earlier in the video, but have you seen the Aaron Rodgers recent Instagram post?
Yep, I actually talked about it a little bit earlier for those just tuning in.
Oh, okay. I figured that you'd still be talking about it just because of how, I don't know, just the fact that he hasn't put this whole vice presidency campaign to rest already is kind of, I don't know, it just seems like a little bit concerning to our organization.
You want my theory on why he hasn't said anything?
Yeah, for sure.
So this is why I think Rodgers obviously addressed the Sandy Hook stuff because it's a real world crazy allegation that would destroy him if he didn't say anything, right? So he had to come out, and I'm glad he said something. He should. The reason why I believe Aaron Rodgers hasn't put down the BP thing is, one, It's so ridiculous, and I think he's laughing at the absurdity of it, as most of any real Jet fan should be, because it's not happening. And two, the attention it's giving to RFK, who he is friends with, right? He is a fan and supporter of RFK. It's promoting RFK's campaign. If Rodgers shuts it down, that's it. But in 12 days, RFK is actually going to announce his running mate. His campaign has said March 26th. So I think Rodgers is just trying to do a solid by his friend. Right? You know what I mean? Like the more this is out there, the more people are talking about RFK. I think it's actually genius guerrilla marketing, if that makes sense. Now people don't like it because it's Rodgers, but if you already hated Rodgers, your opinion of him is not going to change. If he actually leaves the Jets to be the run for vice president, my opinion of him will be different. I don't think there's any scenario that happens, because I know for a fact he's told people that he plans on playing for multiple more years for the Jets. In fact, he said last week he wants to play 2, 3, or 4 more years. So I think he's just laughing at the memes and all the other stuff out there. And in 12 days, when RFK actually announces his running mate, he would have gotten a ton of attention because of this Rodgers story. That's why I think he hasn't said anything yet.
Okay, so you think that there's a lot of strategy behind it, but I guess from like a Jets perspective, it's just bringing a lot of uncertainty to the team. But like you said,
you really think the Jets truly believe that Aaron Rodgers, who played 4 plays for them, is now going to leave after he worked his ass off to come back and go run for vice president of the United States? It's like absurd to even think about it. I'm not even going to go there. If it happens, I probably would renounce my Jet fandom. I can't do it anymore. That's it. That would be.
I will say if there's a quarterback who would do it, it would be Aaron Rodgers. Though he's probably the only guy who I think might be able to pull the trigger on that one. But I get what you're saying, and probably shouldn't be taking it too seriously. I appreciate the call, Jake.
Adam, thanks, man. That's just how I look at it. If he actually leaves to do it, I will have different opinions on it. All right. I'll have probably several rants, and then I'll probably renounce my fandom. So I don't think I can handle it. But come on, people. Come on. Let's be smart here. Aaron Rodgers is already hated by the people that hate him anyway. So he doesn't need to say anything. He had to come out and say something about the Sandy Hook stuff because that's insane. I don't believe it for a second, too, by the way. As I said earlier, if you want my full commentary on the Rodgers CNN story, rewind the video if you're tuned in live. Alex G writes in with a super chat. I hope JD doesn't leave us with an obvious need in the draft like last year with the Pats trade down. JD only proven can draft when every position's in need. I mean, that's kind of why I talked about how they have a ton of flexibility now in the draft. They're not pigeonholed to tackle at 10. They could trade up to get their guy they love. They could trade back and take one of these tackles that they have a high grade on and accumulate picks. They also don't need to take a tackle at all if they sign Tyron Smith. Maybe that's the move. So I don't think Joe Douglas is going to set the Jets up with an obvious need. The card the Jets could play to people and leak out there is AVT's their left tackle. If they don't sign Tyron Smith, and let's say Bakhtiari is someone who can't pass a physical till June, so he wouldn't sign till then. If the Jets don't add a big-time tackle, they can leak it out there. AVT's our left tackle as a smokescreen to then go out there and get Joe Alt in the draft and trade up for him. Or stick and pick and take Olu Fashanu and not allow a team to know the Jets thinking so what happens last year doesn't potentially happen again. Hey, Joe Douglas admitted the Morgan Moses situation was the wrong move. Hindsight's 2020, but he brought him back. That's a good job by the GM admitting a mistake and bringing back a player you already had. I think he's going to learn from what happened last year with the pick swap and the Rodgers deal and the Jets being kind of left unprotected. So the Steelers knew they had to get in front of the Jets to get Broderick Jones. Let's go to Dirty in the truck. Hello, Dirty.
What's up, Jake? You're back in New York now, right?
Well, I will be permanently, but I'm in New York just for this work conference the next couple. My schedule is kind of nuts. I got in late Tuesday night. Conference started at 9 a.m. yesterday, and then 9 a.m. today, and then tonight from 11:30 to 1 a.m. I'm on ESPN Radio nationally, and then my flight's at 6 in the morning tomorrow. So we're pulling the all-nighter tonight. We'll have Jet Parles on the show tomorrow, Jet fans. So I got a Friday guest for you. Don't worry.
I like the fact that you came on beautiful weather. So it's like that New York weather when it's good, it's good. So
man, I walked around the city today dirty. I'm like, this is going to be my life. And then it's going to be freezing and rainy and nasty. I'll be like, this is a mistake.
You brought Texas with you, and then when you leave,
Yeah.
hopefully, you kind of keep it here a little bit. But I usually when JD makes a move like this and he restructures and stuff like that, or usually there's something to come with that. He doesn't just leave the money there. He makes great deals. That I'd like to think he does, but that trickle down effect, I believe, will go into the draft. And this is me just speaking out loud. I think more people are going to want in on some of these wide receivers. I know there's a lot and there's some good picks, but I think Brian Thomas is somebody might want to snag him, or somebody might want to grab Bowers, who I actually think would fall. Like, the Bengals have no tight ends, right? What if they can solidify a solid tight end? So I think we will move down, and I believe that JD could move back and be ballsy enough to come right back into the first round again. I think it's possible.
It could happen. Yeah, I mean, if they trade back and get extra picks, I mean, if there's a player you love that starts to fall, we saw they tried to trade back into round 1 to get Breece Hall. They traded up for Jermaine Johnson. I could see it.
Yeah, and every year we've gotten a running back. I believe every year. So I've heard some people say we're not going to get a running back this year. We have Breece. It's like, dude, every year he's testing out the market for another running back, and it doesn't matter who we get. I think he's going to do it again.
Now, Dirty, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Because your name is Dirty and you drive for a living, do you ever sing the song Dirty Work? And do you do it in like a James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano accent if you do it?
Not that accent, but I do sing it, yes.
My man.
Yeah, I anytime I hear, or Dirty Deeds, anytime I think of that, I always think of Dirty Work with Norm Macdonald. And that was one of the best movies I've ever seen. And, Mildred, hey, Mildred. Like, my name's Jennifer. So I didn't know it, but yes, Norm Macdonald, rest in peace, to one of the greats.
Yep, all-timer, man. Dirty, good call, man. Always great to hear from you. Love Dirty sweatshirt, by the way. I got to get that same one. That is awesome. Wear that on July 4th every year. That's big time. Hey, speaking of big time, I want to give a couple of huge shout-outs to our incredible listeners and the ones who sign up on Patreon. They, have a special place, obviously, near and dear to my heart. But this person who signed up for the year on Patreon last night is one of my favorites, and she's a celebrity in her own right. Ladies and gentlemen, Connie Carberg is our most recent Patreon subscriber. We got to get Connie now in our Discord chat, which is included in your Patreon membership. But I can't thank Connie enough for signing up. When you're a Patreon member, you obviously get your name included in the intro that we update every month, the countdown ticker. We also give you bonus shows that are not on YouTube, Patreon only. We also provide an opportunity for you to listen to shows early before they're released to the public. You get to join our contest we're doing. We're doing the Bracket Challenge contest, and it's just a way to support me. And Connie's the best. Connie should be in the Hall of Fame as well. So, I'm going to do everything in my power to try and raise awareness for that. How is the first female scout not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Makes no sense. So, Jet fans, we all got to rally around that because Connie Carberg is one of us. She's a Jet, and she belongs in Canton. So, I want to give some love to Connie because I appreciate her. Also, want to shout out William J., Chiefs fan, Freddie McKnight, Tyrone Garcia, and Nazaire S., who all became Patreon members. And the great Leanie in North Carolina updated her membership from monthly, signed up for the year, and saved 15% while doing so. So I see Leanie's in here giving love to Connie. Leanie, I want to give love to you as well. You're the best. You're part of our 4% female demographic. And because of people like you, we're going to get that number even higher. So shout out to everyone who listens and shout out to everyone over on Patreon. Ron writes in with a super chat. Jake, can you guess who might be the other teams looking to sign Tyron Smith? Logically, I would connect the Chiefs to them, right? They're in, go for it mode. They restructured Mahomes' deal to get some cap space. I could see them being in on him. Someone said the Commanders, maybe because of the Dan Quinn connection. I have not seen that, though. I have heard the Jets are in on Tyron Smith. I'm not saying they're going to get him, but I know they're in on him. That's what I've heard. So we'll see. Martin writes in, loved your interview with Gator. Great story. Thank you, Martin. Everyone check out Gator's YouTube channel. I did a long form interview with him, but he's got some incredible content. A lot of it is parodies and skits that you see on the show, but the long form version of them. So check that out. Gator Sports on YouTube. Subscribe there. Peter says Bo Nix coming soon. I mean, if they sign Tyron Smith, the odds do go up. They could go quarterback at 10. Do I think they're going to? No. Could they? Yeah, they could. I don't know if it'd be Bo Nix, though. I would hope if they're taking a quarterback, they trade back first. At least get me some extra picks if you're going to do a quarterback in round 1. Robert writes in, no, you're speculating. I'm not going to read that because I don't want to dignify it. Funky Fresh writes in, I heard from Uncle Mike from Mayapack, not to worry about that he is running with Rodgers in 28. Mike Rodgers, 28, be ready. Your uncle is Mike from Mayapack? That's incredible. I love that. Thanks for the super chat. VR writes in, Jake, what do you think about Sauce being called the Minister of Defense? I love that. I threw out Secretary of Defense or Secretary of Defense on Twitter. Shake and bake. Should JD stay away from Donovan Smith? I mean, as the starter, unquestioned, yes. As a depth signing, guy that has to compete with a rookie, I'm okay with that. You take Olu Fashanu and Donovan Smith is competing with him for the starting job. Good. I'm in. George writes in, more likely Jets trade back or trade for a receiver. Trade for a receiver. I think Douglas is going to have his guy he likes at 10 and is going to be hesitant to move. I do think he could trade back. He's never done it, though. So I would lean, in this scenario, what's more likely? I would say it's more likely they trade for a wide receiver. That's how I see it. All right. A little while longer here. Last chance to get in. Super chats, all that. I got to get back to my sports media conference that I'm in town for. Let's go to Michael. He's up next on our show. Michael, you ready to roll? Here we go. What's up, Michael?
Hi, Jake. Long-time listener, first time calling in or videoing in. I'm curious what you think about the running back position. You know, obviously we have a stud of a running back, but behind him, I'm a little concerned. You know, I know we got Izzy, but I feel he's unproven. Are any free agents worth pursuing at this point?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how much money they want to allocate to that, though, right? I mean, I don't think they're going to do what they did last year with $7 million to Dalvin Cook. But, you know, you look at the market right now. I mean, could they be in on A.J. Dillon? Would they be interested in Zeke? I mean, a year ago they were. Could they be in on – who's another guy? Maybe I think J.K. Dobbins is someone to watch. Him and Rodgers are tight. They've rehabbed together. Like, those are the kind of names I'd look at. A guy would be on a one-year deal for less than $4 million.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
Michael, thanks for calling in, man. Good to hear from a fresh caller. Let's get some fresh callers, man. I love that. Love that. Shadow Realm writes in, can't pump the brakes on O-line depth. Keep them coming. Amen. Adam says the line has to be Department of Homeland Security. But you can make a case the Jets' offensive line is the Secret Service this year. That should be their nickname. How great would that be if they lean into that, by the way? Because this VP thing is so stupid. But if the offensive line is like having fun with it with Rodgers and they call themselves the Secret Service, that'd be great. That'd be tremendous. Manuel says, Joe Milton in round 3. Really? You want Joe Milton, who's probably like a late round quarterback pick, to go in the 3rd round? You want to use the 72nd overall pick in an all-in year on the ultimate project of a quarterback in round 3. Why? Because he could throw the ball far? For the first time, Manuel, we debut a brand new Shadow Realm.
Into the Shadow Realm you go.
I don't really look too much into like who we're going after and all of this stuff, but as long as like we're not getting no Jets guys, like I'm good. Let's get this thing done.
What you saying, huh? That's what I'm talking about.
Shout out to Dion Dawkins. Welcome to the Shadow Realm. Bomb. Shirtless Dion Dawkins. Oh, the Jets players, they care about Instagram as you do a podcast shirtless. Bomb. All right. Maybe our last caller. We'll see where the show goes here. We're going to wrap up in a little bit. Kevin's up next. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, what's going on, Jake? Hey, yeah, listen to Aaron Rodgers. You're a good football player. We want you to be our quarterback. We want you to lead us to many wins. Please stop talking about politics. Please stop. I mean, it's
Well,
just
he hasn't said anything. He hasn't said anything.
well, he has in the past, and with his floating with RFK, not killing the story, going on the Pat McAfee show, and just continuing to be a distraction to the team. Stop preaching. I don't want leaks, and I don't want this, and then being a distraction yourself.
That's
Because I
fair.
gotta tell you,
No, that's fair, Kevin. But let me say this: if it was such a big distraction, why'd they vote him most inspirational? Like, you really think his teammates care about any of this stuff? Like, they love him.
no, I don't. But I tell you that Sandy Hook thing. You notice he got on top of that really quick. Because
Yeah,
I'm
because that's different than because that's a big difference than the stupid vice president storyline. Which, if you actually believe that, Jet fans, I don't know what to tell you. The Sandy Hook thing is real world. Like, we're talking about one of the biggest tragedies in the history of our country, and the accusations made against him are like reputation ending for him. So of course he's going to go out there and put that to bed. He said the right thing.
He has to, absolutely. Because when I first heard that on the fan, I said, I was like, cut him. If that's true, I don't care. Some things I care about more than football. I'm sorry. That is one of those things. I wish he would actually come out and deny the 9/11 truther story that's been floating out there, and the New York media has kind of let him slide on that one. Because I mean, Aaron Rodgers has said a lot of crazy shit in the past. So it doesn't really surprise me. It still gives me hesitation, and I'll take him at his word. I'll take him at his word, even though there was some credible reporting on CNN. But nevertheless, I just think it's safer for Aaron just to shut up, concentrate on football, and keep your head down and put all this RFK Jr. stuff to bed and go play football for the New York Jets, because that's all we
Kevin,
care about.
he hasn't said anything. That's my point to you. People are saying things for him. He didn't say he's running for VP. When he has been asked about football this offseason, you know what he has said, Kevin? That he can't wait to return and play for the Jets, and that he thinks he could play 2, 3, maybe 4 more years. That the Jets have a great team, and they're not that far away from winning. So I love how we selectively choose what to pull from Aaron Rodgers that we care about. We pretend like he's outspoken, he's saying all these things, when in reality, when he's been asked about football, all he has said is great things about wanting to come back and play for the New York Jets again. So now he's going to shut down this vice president thing. I'm telling you, the reason why I don't think he has is because he thinks it's ridiculous, and it's helping his friend RFK, who he likes, who he supports. And we're going to be hypocritical. Like, if this was an athlete that was supporting Joe Biden, the mainstream media would have no problem. But because it's an independent candidate, it's like, oh, he's got to shut this down right now. He's supporting his friend by saying nothing because the story is so ridiculous. He is allowing all this attention for the next 12 days until RFK actually announces his running mate, for people to actually Google who's RFK, and maybe actually you watch an interview he does, or maybe you become interested. That's the point of this. I think Rodgers is very calculated with this. He shut down the Sandy Hook story because that's like career ending. That's like career suicide. Obviously, if someone's made those accusations against you, you'd want to shut it down immediately if it's not true. I think the VP thing is just we're having fun with it. Like, have you seen what Sauce has tweeted about it? Like, I don't think anyone actually takes it seriously. All right. But here are a couple clips from Aaron Rodgers that we should play here just to remind people that say, oh, he should care only about football. He should shut up and not say anything. That if you actually go back and look, if you actually go back and pay attention to what Aaron Rodgers has said when he's been asked about football specifically this offseason, what he has said is that he intends to not just play for 1 more year. What he has said is that he intends to play for 2 or 3 or 4 more years. So I can't sit here and rip him and say he needs to care about football only, because when he's actually asked about football, he says things like this.
How can I be my best with my diet today, with my fluid intake? Just everything down to a T to try and get better. And I got back on the practice field late in the season and couldn't get to a top speed sprinting, but really been in a good place rehab wise. from the start and feeling really good. And, again, I'm hopeful I can play 2 or 3 or 4 more years. But you need to have some good fortune there too.
He made those comments on the Eddie Bravo podcast. Those comments came out a week before the initial story from the New York Times about the VP stuff came out. So you have those comments from Aaron. Then he does a separate podcast with Cam Haynes and says this when asked about football.
I mean, that was so disheartening and heartbreaking about last year was the work that I put in at 39 to put myself in a position to be able to play the whole season. I mean, I grinded. I came back, as fit as I've been in a long time, and hired a chef who helped me, with my diet and constant body work and stuff, just to be able to get through the season, and then to fucking play 4 plays was really, really tough, especially with all the excitement around us with Hard Knocks and new team and we were playing on 9/11. It was just a beautiful, beautiful night before that. So I gotta stay healthy. Beat back Father Time a few more years. But I like our chances. I like our guys. I like our coaching staff. We just got to put it all together. We got a fan base that's super, super hungry and desperate for wins, and I think we got the right guys. We got a good group of really talented young guys. We have the rookies of the year from a couple years ago, and Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, top corner and top receiver. We got a couple guys behind him. We're also incredible rookies and coming off great second years. Jermaine Johnson had a big year for us as defensive end, and Brees Hall, our starting running back, who had a phenomenal year. Catching the ball, had 600 yards receiving, I think, and had a ton of yards rushing for us, and he's a game breaker. So we got to shore up the offensive line a little bit to add a couple guys there, maybe get another receiver. But I like our chances, and I feel like if I'm out there, we always got a chance.
Yeah, that sounds like a guy who's retiring to go be vice president when he made those comments a week ago. So we just played you the 2 most recent comments from Aaron Rodgers, who, Jake, he needs to focus on football. When he's asked about football, those are the answers he gives you. Last I checked, did his teammates not vote him most inspirational? The guys actually in the building who saw what he was like. And I can tell you from the off-the-record conversations I've had with Jet players, they love the man. It's obvious. They say it on the record. It's true off the record. So please, give me a break. If you really believe the VP story, people, I don't know what to tell you. If he actually leaves the Jets to be the vice president, try and run and be the vice president of the United States, I'd be happy to admit I'm wrong. Not happening. Letty writes in with a super chat. Love the restructure / extension of Mosley. He's a key culture piece for this team. Something big is in the works. Is Mike Williams even a possibility now, or still too costly with our other needs? Thanks for the content, Jake. Letty, thanks for the super chat. Really generous of you. Let me say this. Mike Williams is definitely a possibility. He's a need. The Jets apparently liked him a lot a couple of years ago. Yeah, he's in. King says, should the Jets go after Odell? I really don't want Odell. We talk about distractions with Odell. You bring him back to New York where he's already been a star. I don't want to deal with that, man. I think that you could find better value than Odell. Is he still an okay player? Yeah, I mean, he did play a lot better, I guess, towards the end of the year when maybe he was fully getting into rhythm, getting healthy again. I get that. I would prefer for the Jets to address receiver and for it to not be Odell Beckham. But I mean, it depends on the contract. If he played for a really good deal, then maybe my opinion will change. I don't know. He's not a bad guy, Odell. I think there's a perception he's like a bad teammate. He's not. He's well liked by every teammate. Lamar Jackson loves him. Ravens players loved him. The media said he was great. As a guy, I'm just not in on Odell. Luke writes in great comment. We're all going to be chanting 4 more years at Aaron, but as our quarterback, not as VP. I love it. That's funny. That's funny. Well said. All right, on that note, we'll wrap up the show. We've gone for an hour here. My lunch break is over. I got to get back to my conference. I want to once again thank everyone who tuned in. Crazy travel schedule for me. So the content will start much later in the afternoon tomorrow, probably around 12 or 1 Eastern. Unless there's breaking news, maybe I'll pop in for a show later. I guess we'll see. But I'm on ESPN Radio tonight, 11:30 roughly to 1 a.m. Eastern. So you can listen on your local affiliate, Sirius XM Channel 80, or you can listen on the ESPN app. I'll actually be doing this show from the ESPN New York studios. So I'll be national and I won't be on in New York, which is kind of weird because the show is originating from New York. But anyway, I'm on ESPN Radio tonight, so you can tune in. I got a 6 a.m. flight tomorrow, so pulling an all-nighter. Hopefully I'll sleep on the plane. I'll land. Jeff Parles is scheduled to join me on the program tomorrow, so looking forward to that. I want to thank everyone for watching. Please hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for tuning in. Sign up for Patreon, please, if you want to support me and get bonus content. And, once again, shout out to Roan for dressing me this week. They're the best. I want to thank Underdog Fantasy, Copper Johns. I'm using my beard oil. I want to thank all my sponsors. Without you guys, I wouldn't be here. So thanks again for the support. All right. Appreciate all of you. Thanks for the time. JETS, Jets. Scott is up next on the hotline. What's up, Scott?
You look at the whole dynamics of it because it's very tough. I know. But you look at the thing and you look at the whole.
What the fuck?
Wow.
What do you mean?
What schematics? What element do we possess?
Scott, what are
It's
you?
a whole-
What are you asking though? I don't understand. Like
Jake, I love you, dude. I respect you. It's fictitious crap. No. A ballerina knows how to move her hips and knows how to understand how to move her body.
You want the Jets to hire Shakira as their O-line coach so she can
No, I
teach the,
can't
Jets
stand
linemen-
Shakira. No.
What do you mean?
No. Don't put words in my face. I like you, Jake. No. You have to have a body fluids. You know, you look at these guys like we have this money. I've never been on steroids. I'm very muscular.
Scott, thank you. God, what? That was some call, man. I can't wait for the Gator remix of that one. That was an all-timer by Scott. Great line by Scott in that call. I don't do steroids, and I'm very muscular. Big takeaways. Scott wants to be the left tackle, and the Jets need to hire Shakira to teach the linemen that their hips don't lie. Or maybe Chubb's.
All right, let's keep rolling. You want to talk about Hall of Fame level callers. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to our guy, Scott.
Hey, what's up? Great stuff. How the hell you be a swing tackle in the scheme of what you're doing? I mean, what the hell are you going to get? What do you say if it has this guy, we can have this guy? That's garbage. No. You can look at the whole dynamics of it, and it's tough and it's cool, but what the schematics that Jake, I love you, I respect you. It's fictitious crap. I mean, how? I mean, look at a ballerina, and a ballerina knows how to move her hips and knows how to move her body. And you're laughing, but it's true, Jake. I love you. I respect you. But look, you don't put words in my face. I can show you how a ballerina, if you turn her body in a certain way, you can see how she moves. And it's just in the terms of the ballerina that just the way she spins in the dress, stay put, and it's just not how it's done. Look, I'm 48, dude. I take steroids and a very low dose of rodeo bull made from juices from injections, and I'm very muscular. I've got the muscles.
Oh my gosh.
And he's Mr. Magnificio. I just don't know how.
Oh my God. God damn it, Gator.
If it moves, hit it. If it don't move, hit it. And if you're not sure, guess what? Hit it.